My name is Johnny Tan, and I'm a project manager. I manage all the projects on Highway 20 in Yuba County. As you can see, we made some great improvement through here. I'm happy to be here and to celebrate this ribbon cutting ceremony with everyone that can be here today. Almost 2 years ago, we stood 2 miles just east of here. We completed the Smartsville project. And last year, we completed the Loma Rica project. So, we're proud to extend the similar highway projects and improvement further west of Yuba River into Browns Valley. To provide more details, I would like to introduce Amajit Benapal, our Caltrans District 3 North Region Director. Director Benapal has more than 30 years of experience with Caltrans, including his current assignment since September 2014 as the District 3 Director, which covers 11 counties, including Yuba and Sutter. He also has project delivery responsibilities for 22 counties that make up of Caltrans District 1 and 2 of the North Region. At this time, please welcome Amajit Benapal.
Thank you, Johnny. Since the sun is going to start coming up a little bit more stronger, so if you wanted to take advantage of the shade, please don't be hesitant. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amajit Benapal, Caltrans District 3 Director. It's really an honor and pleasure to be here today. Trying to actually see finally every one of you in person. It's almost 18 months since we actually held any of these events in person, because most of those got done virtually because of the COVID and other restrictions. And I'm glad that this time we are able to not only host this event in person, but we are also fortunate to have the community members join in this celebration as well, because this project is not state's project. It's our collective project as a community which we are trying to here to serve, along with our federal, state, and local partners, because that's what makes this to be an exciting event for all of us. It's a true celebration for not only Caltrans, but also for the hardworking team, both from Caltrans side in the construction and along with our flat iron contractor, to bringing this project from plans to finally a reality that you can all enjoy and see. Timbuctoo is one of our signature projects, along with many of our other improvements which are taking place on Highway 20 corridor. Safety is our top priority, and this project is certainly addressing that aspect. And it's certainly improving the S-curves which existed in this corridor, constructed a new bridge, and realigned the road bed. I applaud all of you for your hard work to make this thing happen. As many of you do know, in order to accomplish this work, we had to do a lot of rock blasting, because we are in this area, and some of the locals might have actually heard some of those noises. I thought we were just keeping the birds away, but again, it was one of those things that we had to do to make sure we are able to complete our construction. But we wanted to do it in such a way that it was minimum disruption to you as a community, but also to the traveling public. And that certainly has been the key mark or hallmark of the construction team. They were thinking about ahead how we were going to do that work, but on top of it, no one expected COVID was going to come and shut things down back in March of 2020. This team's ingenuity, this team's foresight, and their innovation is what made things happen. As most of you do know today, in the construction arena, material supplies are really at a premium and are very much backlogged. And this team was forethinking and planning for what we need to do and make sure that that is not going to become a problem. They not only order the materials, such as even the netting on these slopes behind you, to make sure that the erosion control is taking place and we can close the project on a time, but every other material they thought through and lined that up in a timely manner. As a result of their efforts, as you can recall, see behind you, this is our old highway. And if you remember traveling through it, it was a roadbed which you were barely hanging on to your steering wheel. And luckily you did not have any flat tire that you had to actually use a place to pull over because there was not any available. But now as a result, we have straightened up these winding S-curves, which were only 25 miles per hour when you traverse through it, now to a minimum of 55 miles per hour. That's a huge improvement which this team has been able to accomplish. And as you travel through it, we have a standard lane width, shoulder widths, that if you, in a case of emergency, you do have a place where you can safely pull it. In order to make sure that we also allow the folks who are traveling in this corridor not to be stuck and getting frustrated after they are stuck behind a truck, boarders or campers, that they actually have 1 mile long passing lane opportunity in the east-bound direction. And that was accomplished as part of this project. To balance our highway improvements with the rest of the environment, we actually had to build 800-foot long, beautiful bridge in this backdrop. And not only we actually built this bridge, but we also wanted to make sure that the community enjoys while they traverse through it. We have a see-through railing. So when you're driving through it, you can actually see the view. Today is not necessarily a good day to be actually enjoying the view, but it's when the weather is going to be clear, it's going to be a beautiful place to actually see it. And along with that, we wanted to make sure that the drainage work and every other features are actually brought up to standard, so there is not any kind of a flooding, localized flooding taking place as a part of this once we are done with this project. But that's enough about the project. Let's talk about the rich community and heritage where we are standing today. Because we are known to actually build our construction project. That's easy, that comes natural to us. But we also wanted to take a moment and acknowledge the rich history of Timbuctoo area where we are standing. And as many of you do know, or may not know, we, as a part of this project, we are going to be actually building a historic plaza at the Yuba River. So when you do get a chance, please take a moment and stop there. And that is going to actually recognize the rich history of this area. And many of you may recall that back in the 1950s, Timbuctoo was a going places. It was the largest community in Yuba County, where they also had actually a Wells Fargo bank stop. As many of you do know, those buggies coming with the guys on guns, trying to actually take the funds to individuals. We actually had that stop in this area. And that's actually part of the reason why we're so proud of this work, that not only we are recognizing the Yuba County's rich history, but also the Timbuctoo's rich history for this area. So once we are done, at least the motorists and community can enjoy and be able to benefit from it. In addition, I wanted to take a moment and also state the fact that Highway 20 corridor is a very critical link from transportation perspective, trying to connect the Northern California from east to west or west to east from Highway 1 and in Fort Bragg area all the way up to Interstate 80. And as a result, there are about 8,000 vehicles which traverse through this section with the 500 trucks. And in order to make sure that our economy and our continues to keep growing, we wanted to make sure that we continue to keep investing in this corridor. Between Colusa County, Sutter County, Yuba County, and Nevada County, we have invested or going to be investing $400 million to make sure that when you're going to be traversing through this corridor, you can make that trip safely. And that could not have been done without the help of all of our partners and community members to get us up here. So I'm going to take a moment, so please bear with me in a recognition of many of the individuals who made this thing happen today. And I wanted to first of all acknowledge our partners. Senator, you've been a staunch supporter from day one. I got into this job, and every time I called upon you or your office, you've been always there. Supervisor Fletcher, it's a pleasure to have you in there assignment. Let's put it down. Every time we had issue, whether it's on this corridor or many other corridors in Yuba County, you along with your peers has been always a supporter of the work which we are trying to do for our community at large. And I also wanted to acknowledge the CHP's efforts, that they've been a supporter during the construction, trying to make sure that not only our employees but contractors' employee and the traveling public can get through it safely, and Flatiron team. Flatiron team led by Dan Artisan, Charles Morrow, and Caroline Coker. Thank you for your work and great efforts which you guys have put it into this project. Now let me acknowledge a few of the folks. If you guys can wave your hand, that would be good. Thank you. Let me acknowledge the folks from Caltrans and Johnny Tan, project manager, which you already met. And we had folks from construction, Dustin Watts and Aaron Chamberlain, who were the resident engineer carrying this project through construction. Benga Hargrove, construction senior. Brent Bullard and Kavahe Aladi from structures construction. Jim Rasmussen, Marlene Gibbs, and Maliku Zaliki from design. Laura Loeffler from environmental. Teresa Lamone from traffic. Fernando Rivera from traffic safety. Stacy Sanner from right-of-way. Harswinder Chauhan from right-of-way. Robert Floyd, utilities. Jeffy Lee, structure design. Michael Oguro, landscape architect. And Gilbert Mohatis Chan, PIO. And I also wanted to acknowledge Supervisor Gary, who has joined us today. We really appreciate you taking the time and coming to this event. And Laura, you've been always my phone call away when we need to actually reach Senator's office, so I wanted to thank all of you for your efforts. If I overlooked anyone, I'm pretty sure Johnny is going to come back and acknowledge those. But I also wanted to state the fact that I've been blessed to actually have great deputies who support me in doing what I do on a daily basis, led by Andy Alvarado in construction, Susan Elkins from admin, and Greg Wong from program project management. If I'm missing anyone, Johnny, please make sure you keep an eye on to acknowledge it. But thank you very much for joining us, and let me pass the baton back to Johnny so we can carry on with the rest of the program. Thank you.
It's really a pleasure to be here today. You know, there's always criticism of Caltrans, the government. That's probably the most critical government we'll ever find. But here we see a project that's going to help the whole region. And it's testimony that the rural areas do sometimes get their share. And this is very important for the future. The area, look for California. There's a lot of traffic that goes through here. And one of the things that I get the biggest kick out of, the old saying about the Timbuctoo, well, I represent Timbuctoo. There is such a place. And now I can talk about more transportation up in Timbuctoo. That's all for the good. The point is, we're getting something done. And we're seeing a lot of good people in Caltrans who've dedicated their lives, their careers, to doing things for the people of the state of California. And you deserve a pat on the back instead of a kick. A lot of the times, the kick is all that you get. But you are appreciated, you are needed. And it's good to see this state getting back in doing some things with our tax revenues. This is a long thing that's been benevolent for me to see the transition of those dollars that we put in our taxes into something fruitful. And this is fruitful, ladies and gentlemen. And it is a product of us working together, federal, state, and local. The supervisors here, and Randy will speak in a moment too. And I want to shout out my colleague in the State Assembly, James Gallagher. Braden, put your hand up there, Braden. Braden is a representative for Assemblyman Gallagher. And I guess I'm kind of bragging about the three of us, Gallagher, Nielsen, and LaMalfa. But there are not too many areas that are represented all by farmers. Now, we've been considered to be hard-headed a lot, but I think we're very practical. And we're a good team working together on your behalf, working with the agencies of state government. And there's an example here with Caltrans where there's an agency that's doing some good for us for you, right here, today. And I'm delighted to be a part of it with you folks. We've got a lot of smoke around us here, and that speaks to another issue that's of great concern to us. And we will hope that we'll be able to make some progress on dealing with that. But today, let's celebrate a wonderful project here that's going to facilitate a lot better transportation and suffice the needs of the people of the state of California and other states as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Caltrans, and thank you, state taxpayers of California, who's helping us get this done.
Thanks, everyone. You know, I had about a 40-minute speech, but I see that there's a lot of smoke coming, so I think I can do this in about 4 minutes. I can't thank you enough for this teamwork to put this project together. What you see is a road. What I see is economy, safety, fire safety, evacuation, movement of our communities. It's essential to Yuba County and beyond. A little side story. I've been traveling this road since I was young, a lot of years ago. And I can tell you that as I came over Donner Summit, I remember seeing Highway 80 built. My father said, someday they're going to straighten this whole road out. Today's the day. It's exciting to me. I remember wandering through the hills, up Donner, down Donner, through Rough and Ready, through Grass Valley. This was the last piece in my mind that needed to be accomplished. It's huge. Again, I cannot thank you enough on behalf of the 5th District, the 1st District, the 2nd District, the 3rd District, and the 4th District within Yuba County. This is tremendous. So all of your efforts are well thought of, well thought out, and I see nothing but positive here. So the best I can do for you today is say thank you, and we do appreciate all of your effort and energy that you've put into this project. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rebecca Carlson, a longtime Timbuctoo resident and a member of the Smartsville Cemetery Board. Caltrans is proud to pay a tribute to the community with the construction of Timbuctoo Historical Plaza near the Parks Bar Bridge and the Yuba River. During its heyday in the 1850s, the town of Timbuctoo was the largest community in eastern Yuba County, with more than 4,000 residents and feature a Wells Fargo stop. But like many small communities spawned by the gold rush, Timbuctoo pretty much vanished after hydraulic mining was outlawed. Mrs. Carlson's ancestor, however, never left, and she literally grew up in the ghost town. Please welcome our speaker, Mrs. Carlson.
Hey there, so my name's Rebecca. I'm actually the new troll underneath this bridge here, so thank you guys for building it. As many of the construction people know, I rode around on the quad, and I'm also the self-appointed sheriff of Timbuctoo, the SA sheriff I like to call myself. My neighbors know me. We have a good community here, and local people. Believe it or not, I actually was born in Timbuctoo, just up and over that hill right there. Yeah, it was awesome watching you guys blow things up, and just impressive work and everything that happened here to make this actually succeed. And the Corvette curves, people will not miss those, because when I actually purchased this property right here, there was a Corvette with a father and a son who had been missing for years that were found. So obviously the safety of this new bridge and the highway goes without saying. So yeah, Timbuctoo, it's an awesome little secret. There used to be gold panning and mining and all that. Don't do it now though, because it's all private property, and property owners around here like to carry guns. So not much around here. Believe it or not, there's actually chickens in Timbuctoo than there are people. So we got about 4 residents in Timbuctoo, and I myself have probably about 18 to 25 chickens. So we got a lot of rattlesnakes, and we like to do fly fishing, and it's a great area with a lot of natural resources and natural beauty with the Yuba River right here. And so thank you for everything. Back in the 70s, I was going to say, when I was born, there was actually a great revival here, and it actually went across the world, believe it or not. And there's a church, Glad Tidings, in Yuba City. This is actually right here in Timbuctoo. My parents were hippies smoking pot, and they got radically saved, so there was a revival that happened right here in Timbuctoo and spread out and has impacted the world. I've actually smuggled Bibles into China with that church, so that's a little fun fact from the middle of nowhere, Timbuctoo, all the way to China. So this area has a world implication. So, and it's a real place. So anyways, I think that's about it. All right.